Welcome, welcome. We are back. This is episode 61. I am still thanking Port Sonocan Hotel for their continued uh, hosting of me. You've seen quite a lot of the hotel now, and you've probably heard quite a bit of background news as well. Um, I apologise, but I'm also going to use it as a segue into this conversation. So, in the room, we currently have Brett and Erika, New York, Long Island, not Manhattan, Gaby, who is in Clonmel, which is somewhere far away from Dublin, Daniel, who is in the Netherlands, and I have moved to Scotland. Now, I can hear you all thinking, why? Why? Well, the place I moved to has Starlink, Skynet, whatever it's called. The AI is eventually going to nuke us as the problem, but I'm having real trouble with connectivity. And it raised the question for me, which I'm going to open to everybody, is in our first world connections and friendships where we are literally globally connected, what happens when inevitably there are problems? Who is your social group? Where do you connect with? What do you do? I've come to the local hotel. I'm lucky that they are letting me use their Wi-Fi, but that might not be the case for some people. And if I was even more isolated than I am, because yes, I'm in the Highlands, but I'm not like at the top of a mountain, who have you got? Where would you go? So that's the question I'm putting to you folks.
So in other words, the question is, how much time are we actually spending online? Do we actually still have a healthy community in real person around us? Do we know our neighbors? Do we have friends? Do we have support? Do we have backup? Or do we spend our life completely online, watching Netflix in the evening, playing games, browsing TikTok, and seeing that as friends? While if the connection would go, we would actually realize, oh, hold on, we have no one. We're actually quite isolated. So is the connection to the world via internet giving us the, how would I say, the illusion we have community and we're connected and we're not lonely? Or do we actually still have a physically community around us?
I mean, we had a conversation a while back about whether you can have meaningful friendships online, and I think the consensus was that you can, and certainly, those of you watching who know that we're all connected through ecology, when we meet in real life, those friendships are real and true, and they're no different to being in our little squares and rectangles. The, the problem is that's a real thing until such point as you can't access it. Um, and even with cancel culture that we are in, uh, we don't know when we might not be able to access something. So I think we can have genuine friendships. I mean, I'm not reliant on Netflix, TikTok, etc. But I am so reliant on technology that I've got this hotel and those members of staff whose names I've learned in the week and a half I've been up here, and that is it. What about you?
So are we too reliant on technology? Are we gone too extreme in one way?
Well, a lot of the time we spend online, we do so in a way that's kind of, we're trying to have our needs met when we're interacting with others over social media or however that may be. But it doesn't quite scratch the itch, does it? I mean, I was just thinking in the break. This is in terms of an online conversation, time I'm spending with you guys. I mean, this is about as good as it gets, and because we're sat here our attention is fully on the conversation. We're all listening to each other. And I thought, that's really nice. But what would be really nice is if we were all together in a room physically. That would really take it up another level. I think we're really limited with having certain needs met online, and it's a sort of shortcut, isn't it? And we it's not just with socializing; it's with all sorts of other needs as well. Trying to get them online, and well, I would love to see a day where the internet goes out. To be honest, for a day or for a week, I would love it. I would love to see what happens. I think. I mean, I'd have no problem with it. I'd love to be able to have proper conversations with people where they didn't have anything to be distracted by. I mean, imagine being in a room with a couple of friends, or like we are here. Sorry, I should say, imagine being in a room with your friends and everybody's just on their phone and they're just being half distracted. And then when someone wants to say something, they just say it out loud. And then when they're done talking, they look at their phone, because that's kind of the quality of conversations that we tend to have online with people anyway. You know, I could be quite engaged in a WhatsApp conversation with somebody, and there could be a few messages going back and forth, but I might be having a conversation with my girlfriend at the same time. I might be cooking dinner. I might be half watching a video on YouTube on the side. So how is the internet really helping us meet our social needs?
I can say, so I got a whole lot going on, and I'm concerned that I'm not going to be able to concisely articulate what I'm about to say. I find that the internet has allowed me to make better connections than I would have in person. Like, because it is so hard for me personally to find people I can have these kind of conversations with in my circle in person here, right? So it causes me to, I have a certain amount of social interactions and friends that I can do certain things with, but the conversations never go where these kind of conversations go, hardly ever. So I am super appreciative of what the internet has offered me in being able to meet other people outside of my realm that I can do this with and forge really, really deep connections with. So when and if the internet goes out and I'm not able to reach them, a lot of things start happening. It's sort of like okay, I'm going to say it, but there's like a grief thing that goes on where it's like, shit, it's a sudden loss, right? Because it's like, wait, what do you mean I'm not going to be able to reach out right away or get that response back that I'm used to? So there's a real feeling of loss for me when a connection goes out, whether it's mine or somebody else's, that I can also have experienced that in person, right? When I've had friendships that stopped for whatever reason because connection just stopped, right? We're not talking about internet connection, but connection stops in person as well. And it's the same kind of feeling. It's just a loss kind of feeling, but I think it forces you to sort of get real with yourself about what kind of connection am I actually looking for? Like, what kind of relationships am I actually looking for? And where am I finding them? So it's less about, for me, it's less about, am I relying on the internet to give me connection or not? It's just, this is where I feel connected and I'm happy as hell for it, because I might not get it in my social realm in person.
I'm kind of reminded of the great COVID scam. Sorry, Erika, I know you don't like a conspiracy. And, you know, people weren't out, they weren't going to work, but people began to spend more time with their families. They began to communicate with their neighbours. I suspect that were I completely ridden of my technology, I I would find people to talk to, or I would actually stop and pass the time of day with relative strangers, which used to be fairly common in this country, but is no longer really the case. So I think the vacuum would be filled eventually, but you know, you and I, Erica, we have frequent WhatsApp conversations, and I lost signal the other day, and when it returned, I had not just from you, but I had 30 odd WhatsApp messages from people who are used to me being available. You thought I'd fallen off of a mountain, and it's but the time span was too short for me to do anything about filling the vacuum with connection in the real world. Um, so there's that element too. Brett, Gabby, what are you thinking?
I think it's probably again contextual, because if everybody's in the boat that the internet goes, it's probably less panicky, because, oh, what do we do now? Like, as I said, during COVID, we adapted. We adapt really quickly. We got a really good routine going here where I live. I'm bringing out the dogs, and it's brilliant because all the neighbors bring out the dogs now at the same time. We have great chats, and that's actually thanks to COVID. We didn't do that before, so it actually has created more community in here where I am. I think the frustration is if we know everybody else is on it, but I'm not on it, right? So this is where I think the real loss comes. Like Alec, when you sit there and you have no access to WhatsApp, and we all on it, and we might be talking, and you can't. I think this is where the issue comes, and it's interesting that I saw a program of a guy who used to work with addicts, alcohol and drugs. And he started actually teaching in a university in Wales, realizing that the guys were on the mobile phones all the time. And he actually did research, and proper research with, he looked at the brain, and he said he actually found out that when they weren't able to look at the phone quick enough or regularly, the brain exactly reacts like when the brain was in withdrawal from alcohol or drugs. It was exactly the same stuff happening in the brain. Now, I'm not a doctor surgeon, so I can't tell you exactly which parts lit up, but it was there. It was exactly the same thing. And he also found out that the fear of losing the connection was so high that the kids at between 18 and 23 already all had high blood pressure of fear they lose the connection, they can't get on. And he had really had to question what's happening when they're 50, if they walk around with this constant high blood pressure all the time, thinking they're losing connecting to the internet, right? So I'm wondering what has happened.
I mean, I can kind of speak to that because it's not a secret. I've shared it with you all before. I am an addict. I'm 22 years, 7 months, and 29 days sober. I've also had a flirtation with IV drug use. I wasn't addicted to that, but there was. I am an addict. I know that I'm an addict. Um, so it doesn't surprise me that my phone is never far from my hand, and I probably check it far too many times in a day. Um, so, like you, I don't know the science behind that, but I do know the behavior behind it, and I know the drive to find the internet is. You've seen me wandering around here in different rooms and stuff. I was out wandering the grounds that are around my home, trying to get even just a single bar. And I know that addicts will go to extraordinary lengths to get their fix and their high. And I was repeating that, trying to get the internet. So what you've mentioned there comes as no surprise to me, and I'm sure it would be cold turkey. If I was without Tinterweb for 3 or 4 days, I would go through all of those addiction processes before I could come to any kind of peace.
This
I
is
think the
sorry.
one thing with the internet losing it it's funny because we just had this conversation at work the other day. I was like, how many people would just be lost because of the navigation? Not being able to have maps. Everybody would be lost. I'm like, I got no problem going old school because I've been there. I've done that. I know it. But as far as like the younger kids, take away that the maps, oh my God, they'll be doing circles outside or trying to figure out, wait a minute, if I gotta go there, what roads do I have to take? Like, because it's like a handicap. It tells you exactly what to do, where to go, and there's no thinking in it. So now you become dependent on it. And then when it's taken away, what happens? Now you're lost unless you really paid attention. Can you still go that route without the navigation, or are you going to miss the turn? So that's the one big thing. As far as losing it for 3 days, I think I'd be okay. I have connection. I have some these conversations in real life with people in a room, so that's not even um, a loss in that kind of aspect. It would be a loss not being able to connect with you guys. That is a loss. But if it's like 3 days or something like that, I think I can handle that. Um, and it depends on really what's the reason that it's at a loss is the real big picture and where I would go. Like, why is the internet down? What is going on is where I would tend to go and be more curious about. Um, so losing the internet wouldn't be so much the worry. It'd be like, why is it down? Is it just being worked on or what? I'd go into like alert mode, kind of like curiosity and wanting to know, because that is tapping into our news, our everything, right? That's how people get a lot of information while they're on the run. So, yeah, very interesting. How many people have a Hackstrom?
I couldn't read a map before the internet, so I would really be unaffected by that. I'd be lost anyway. So I'd be going on sheer follow your nose kind of thing. I don't know. I think I go that way. This is an interesting conversation because as you guys are all speaking about losing the internet, and Gaby, you said it. It's like the fear of knowing if everybody else is on and I'm not, right? That's one aspect. And then if we all lost it, we would all know, okay, like COVID, we all knew that none of us were getting out of our house. So it wasn't a big deal. It was sort of just like everybody's doing this. So everybody's doing it. So just do it. No big deal. But so as you were saying that, I'm thinking it's not so much about, for me, the fear of missing out kind of thing. Like if I were to lose connection, it's definitely more emotionally based connection with certain people, right? It's not the whole world that I'm looking to connect with, but there are legit connections with people in this room even, right? That if I wasn't able to just be like, hey, how's it going? Or what's going on? Or are you alive? Did you get out of the lock? Did you do this? Are you good? How are you feeling? I would definitely feel that on a deep emotional level. There's a definite grief component here for me that I'm recognizing that would feel like it's less of the oh well, I'm not going to be able to get online and see that today or something. It's more about these are my friends. Like these are people that I genuinely are in my heart now that I love. So there's no difference than if someone that is in my realm and I'm able to touch physically, if I was suddenly not to see them again. Like that's what it feels like to me. So it's not it's just whatever. We'll talk about it. It's deeper than that, definitely for me.
I think there's the suddenness of the loss. Like the other night, it was late. I wasn't gonna go out and try and locate internet, but I was aware that it was missing. And yes, there's the FOMO. I completely agree with that. But then when I got back online and I had all these messages, it's like, how often am I unavailable? This probably goes back to working like a dog or whatever. But the answer is hardly ever. You can pretty much guarantee that, from 7 a.m. until midnight, you will get a message from me. And if you're in a different time zone and I happen to wake up to go to the bathroom at 3 a.m., you will also get an answer from me, which is probably something else to look at. But there were people who, in this period of 4 hours where I was out of contact, have actually like reached out. And it was like, oh my God, I wasn't there for them. They all figured it out on their own. You're not that bloody important, Alec. But yeah, I was shocked and horrified.
Okay, story time. This is quite relevant, and I didn't think this was going to come out for this conversation.